Ultiworld just dropped their 2024 Block of the Year bracket. This means 16 jaw-dropping defensive plays are fighting for that title. Only one can claim the crown, so let's see who deserves it, starting with this first matchup between Manuela Cardenas versus Jenny Fernandez. So you're gonna see a deep shot go off here. Manuela actually peels off of the person she was guarding, hustles her butt off, and then with authority gets the nice layout smack. I mean, good on her, big heads-up defensive play, because if she doesn't do this, it was gonna be an easy score for that offensive player. Now, I'm really glad it didn't happen. Like, the first time I watched this right here, I thought she was about to get Randy Orton punk kicked. But Jenny's just really straight to the point. A quick reset to the dump tries to go off, but it is a little bit late. Jenny takes full advantage of it and goes for a straight up Superman dive. You know she went hard on that dive because you could just listen to how hard she landed. But I think I'm going to give this one to Manuela just because it required more of a heads up play and more effort to even get in position for that block. So I'm going to give her a seat to the quarters. For matchup number 2, we got Tessa Swinton versus Jolie Krebs. It happened so fast, but another deep shot and just like, oh my goodness, man. Tessa Swinton just went flying. I really don't have much to say. It was just, that's a beast of a play. Like, if I stop it right here, it looks like she's floating right now. Like, it just doesn't even make sense. Then if we look at Jolie's play, she was straight up lurking on this block. She was ready to get the layout D before the disc was even thrown. Like, this is just straight up hustle. She easily closed the distance in seconds to get this block. I do love Jolie's block, don't get me wrong. It's a classic bait play, but I mean, like, we talk about Tessa. Nah, that not going through. But moving on to our third matchup, we got Valeria Cardenas versus Shayla Harris. Starting with Valeria, it's honestly just like the smoothest layout block in this whole entire bracket. And honestly, this first angle doesn't even do it justice. We gotta look at the slow-mo. Abby Hecko's coming under, thinks she has it. Valeria just comes in, straight clean and swipes it out. And if this play wasn't cool enough, just get a look of Abby's face. If we look at Shayla Harris's play, we see a big deep shot go off. It's kind of floaty. Shayla comes in from the left and honestly just skies everybody in her path. I also love the fact that Claire Chastain just turns around and just puts her hands up like, yeah, you got it. Honestly, there was no real fight in this one. Shayla had help from her teammates to box out the offensive player, and honestly, she just ended up making her teammates look more silly than anything. So for that, I'm gonna push Valeria on to the next round. For the last round on this side of the bracket, we got Grace Maroon versus Aurora Lesnick. With Grace, we have another heads-up play. She pulls off the verse stack from who she's guarding, and then she actually makes a nice layout block on a disc that's going to somebody else in the lane. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the block was amazing at all, but honestly, I love watching the crowd reactions even more. Now, if we take a look at Lesnick, a deep shot does go off, but she's able to take a better angle to get a layout D just before the offense could get a hand on it. And honestly, on top of that, I think that's Lil Wayne in the background. The beat gotta go hard. Like, I think the play looks cooler because she had to leave the ground, but I just don't think it was really that necessary. So because of that, it's gonna drop it down for me, and I'm gonna move Grace on the quarters. So hey, I'm sorry about it, but if you disagree, go ahead and leave a comment. Moving on to the male match inside of the bracket, we got Vin Bowie versus Taylor Hanson. Like, honestly, this play by Vin Bowie is just him just saying denied. That's literally all it is to it. Like, you want to talk about a point block, this man commits to the layout before he even leaves Johnny's hand. Like, this is literally a split-second decision away from being on an offensive highlight reel. So, like, it is very rare to actually see a play like this actually happen. With Taylor Hanson, you're going to see this is a defensive play in the dump space. And honestly, I hate this type of cut for this type of reason if it's not hit immediately, but he takes full advantage of it and gets that nice layout block. I also just love the shot they were able to get of him after the play, just saying denied to the camera. Pretty nice touch. I think you can tell by now which play I am going to go with though. I'm going to give this one to Vin Bowie. It's just really rare to see a play like that. That's a spot in the quarters for show. For the second matchup, we got Callahan Diericks versus Tom Tulin. So you might be hoping, please tell me a guy named Callahan actually gets a Callahan. Well, hope no more. So you're literally going to see a big giant pull. It's going to go off the screen, sets up the whole entire play. He kind of baits it, as you can see, reads it like a book as it's going to go for the center. And that's literally all she wrote. But the thing is, this is not the only Callahan this round. Tom Tulin does basically the same exact thing. Now, the main difference with Tom's is the fact that he's actually guarding an offensive player in order to get his Callahan. Callahan was able to bait and see the whole entire play all the way through. Tom's was a bit harder to pull off, so I'm gonna move him on the quarters. Moving on to the next round, we got Nate Goff versus Alexander Spalholz. I know I butchered that. I am so sorry. So with Nate, we initially get a deep shot that goes off, and he's not even a part of this play, but then out of nowhere, he gets a block over both of them. If you can't tell, this man Nate is huge. I remember I had the pleasure of marking him this past summer, and he made me look like an absolute toddler. So it makes sense that he was able to pull this play off, but honestly, it sucks for his teammate who actually had to get knocked upside the head in the process. So in our first and only beach clip in this whole entire bracket, Alexander looks like he's getting cooked initially. He closes the distance and get a huge layout interception. Like, the play already looks nice as it is, but it looks even better in slow motion. So honestly, I love both of these plays. I think this is the hardest matchup in this entire first round. Definitely want to give my props to Alexander for catching up and making a play on that disc, a huge play on that disc, by the way. But I think I'm just gonna have to lean more towards Nate because there's just a lot going on. It was just like, also had to catch up, help defense, had to go over his teammate, knock in the head as well. and then make the block. For the last matchup in this first round, we got Micah Davis versus Leo Gordon. So we're going to see a big around shot here to the far side dump. But honestly, I don't think the handler was ready for it to be this floaty. And this allows Micah to come in, hunt it down, and get the nice layout Callahan. Great play by Micah here. Don't want to discredit him. But honestly, this handler just got to attack that disc. You can't be that passive. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this next clip by Leo is really fast. Do not blink or you might miss it. But looking at his clip, Leo's the mark on the current handler. That handler tries to wind up for a big huck, but gets denied and gets stuffed by his foot. Now, I like Leo Gordon as a player and all. I love watching him, but honestly, this might have been the weakest play in the entire bracket. Like, foot blocks are definitely cool to see, especially live, but it's like, we're talking about block of the year. Like, how did this get in here? But anyway, I'm gonna stop dogging on my boy, and Micah, going to the next round. All right, kicking off quarters, we got Manuela Cardenas versus Tessa Swinson. For me, I think the main difference between these two come down to the pass towards the disc. With Manuela, the disc was kind of sitting nicely for her. She was able kind of watch it the whole entire time. And honestly, she looked like in better position than the offensive player did. Tessa's, it just looked like she was out of position for most of this flight path. Like, it looked like the wind was kind of carrying it a bit, but somehow, some way, she was able to come up clutch and still make the block. So I definitely think Tessa had the harder play to pull off, in my opinion. So that's why I'm going to move her on to the semis. For the other quarterfinal on this side of the bracket, we got Valeria Cardenas versus Grace Maroon. So honestly, great of Valeria here for continuing to hustle through. Got to give a little flack to the receiver for slowing down, trying to clap catch it, and allow her to creep in and get that block. With Grace, it's more of a heads up play. She has to peel off the stack, and sometimes doing this, it can be hard to time, do it safely, and obviously still get the block. And I'm a big guy on difficulty, and that's why Grace is going to be moving on to the next round. So I'm kind of just realized I just knocked out both the Cardenas sisters in the same round. That's tough. Onto the male matches side for quarters, we got Vin Bowie versus Tom Tulin. Now I understand, everybody loves a Callahan. It gets everybody hype. It's just a play that you don't see that often. But this play by Vin Bowie, I can't stress how easy this play could have went the other way and made him look dumb. And this man literally risked it all and was still able to pull it off. So I'm sorry to Tom, I gotta push my man Vin to the semifinals. I just have to. All right, for the final spot in the semis, we got Nate Goff versus Micah Davis. Now, last round, I wasn't too high on Micah's Callahan purely because of the lack of pressure from the Colombian handler. Like I said before, and it's not obvious, I am pretty big on difficulty when judging these different plays of the year. And then we take a second to look at Nate. This is a straight dog. You don't make a play like this while hitting your teammate in the head and not make it to the semifinals. So my boy Nate going through. So here we are with our final four. Let's kick it off with Tessa Swinson versus Grace Maroon. Since these were both pretty difficult, I'm just have to go down to which one looked cooler. Grace's play, she has a pretty clear lane to dive into when she does make her layout, but Tessa on the other hand has a bit more traffic in hers. But even on top of that, the airtime that she gets is just pretty unreal to me. So with that being said, Tessa is moving on to the finals. To represent the male matching side, we have Vin Bowie versus Nate Goff. Like with Nate Goff, this is like the picture definition of a big man play. Hands down. But there's just something with Vin Bowie's play that just hit different. Like honestly, it was some straight up ninja stuff he was able to pull off. Like he literally chopped the disc downward to make sure he got the block. So you know I gotta put Vin Bowie in the finals. But here we go, final round for the title block of the year. We got Tessa Swinson versus Vin Bowie. Great, amazing blocks to represent both sides for sure. But if we being honest, this is not a hard choice for me. This is only because comparing the final four, I would have put Tessa Swinson at number 3 overall below Nate Goff. And my boy just got kicked out. I just don't think Tessa competes in this final matchup with Vin Bowie here, so that's why he's going to be my winner for block of the year. Now, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, I get that, so let me know your thoughts below. And while you're at it,